It is a magnificent creature living in the world's deepest oceans. Its ancestors shared the planet with the great dinosaurs. But unlike Tyrannosaurus rex, this giant is still with us. This is a leatherback turtle, and it's a turtle unlike any other. Leatherbacks are amazing long-distance swimmers, crossing entire oceans in the course of a year. Most people think of turtles as warm water creatures. But in fact, every year, hundreds of leatherbacks make the trek thousands of kilometers north to the chilly waters off the east coast of Canada. Leatherbacks survived the Ice Age and the shifting of the continents millions of years ago. But today, this oceanic species is in decline and listed as endangered in both Canada and the United States. These ancient turtles swim faster, travel further, and dive deeper than any other reptile on the planet. They are solitary travelers, but they're not alone. Like an island on the move, a leatherback offers food and protection to hitchhiking remora fish. For generations, fishermen in Neils Harbor on Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, reported seeing huge sea turtles around their nets and traps. Today, this place has become a focal point for Canadian biologist Mike James. He's had a lifelong interest in turtles.
I was given a box turtle when I was 7 named Felix. And Felix was a huge source of inspiration. I mean, he was in a little tank in my bedroom. And I kind of watched how he ate and watched how he kind of sunned himself under his special UV lighting and everything else.
Felix ignited Mike's passion for leatherback turtles. Mike knew that leatherbacks nested in the warm beaches of the Caribbean. But he had a theory that leatherbacks were regular visitors to Nova Scotia's much colder coastline, and he wanted to prove it.
I hit every wharf and spoke to as many fishermen as I could in every community. You know, at first it was difficult because I kind of opened my car door and I kind of get I had these posters, these "Have you seen this turtle" posters with this big picture of a leatherback on it. And the phone started ringing.
And then I saw the poster and I called him because he had called his number, "Have you seen this turtle?" And lo and behold, he ended up coming down to the house. He left these cameras and he said if you could get some shots and where you saw them and any other information.
We had almost 200 sightings in one season. That is what we needed to get started and to be able to say, look, we've got turtles here and it might be reasonable, justifiable to try and do some at-sea research.
So the researchers joined the fishermen and put to sea. The goal was not just to find a leatherback in the open ocean, but to capture and tag it. First time out, in the summer of 1999, they hit the jackpot. Not only did they beat the odds and find a leatherback, they found a male. Since males never go ashore, the only place to find them is out here in the open ocean. For the first time ever, they attached a custom-built satellite transmitter to the turtle's back. Now, it would be possible to track a male leatherback's trek across the oceans.
Oh, shit. There we go. Woo! Riding, nice. Look at it ride.
History in the making, you guys.
This was the beginning of Mike's own journey to help prove that leatherbacks are regular visitors to Atlantic Canada.
Woo!
Way to go, boys.
Neils Harbor has turned out to be a hotspot. a major destination for leatherbacks. The reason is simple. In summer, the waters here are filled with what turtles eat, jellyfish. Over the years, Mike has tagged hundreds of turtles, making him a leader in leatherback research.
There he is, straight ahead.
After 15 years, Mike and the fishermen have perfected the skills needed for spotting and capturing leatherbacks. Still, not every attempt results in a successful capture.
Oh, that was so close. So close.
Straight ahead, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that's him. What? That's small, isn't it?
The primary piece of gear is like a giant butterfly net, designed to safely wrap around the swimming leatherback. This way, they can move the animal onto the platform without hurting it. Even though it might look as if it's built like a tank, the body of the leatherback is actually quite fragile. Most turtles have a hard, bony shell, but leatherbacks get their name from the tough, rubbery skin that covers their carapace.
If we're going to understand the dynamics of the foraging population up here, we have to study individual animals. The key that over the years also for us has been to handle the animals as close to the water as possible, so that not only is it easier to get them back in there when you need to, but that you can cool them down. And they actually always have water on them because they're sitting to a certain extent in several inches of water even during the tagging or handling process.
Each leatherback turtle is measured and weighed.
373, 375.
The average one comes in at a whopping 400 kilograms. The researchers take blood samples and check the leatherback for any cuts, scrapes, or injuries. But they're looking for something else, too.
So this is the magic moment. We see if she has a microchip.
Mike tries to identify every leatherback by scanning for a microchip to see if it's already been ID'd.
Despite her immense size and presumably a long nesting history somewhere, she doesn't look like she's been previously tagged.
If they don't find a chip, Mike inserts one. Microchip technology provides a permanent record of the animal. They use another kind of tag as well.
So these tags are very simple metal tags that we use to mark the turtles. We put them on the rear flippers.
The flipper tag is more accessible, but is also more easily lost or damaged.
So this animal is marked now as an animal that we have handled here in Canada.
This is a foraging destination. The same turtles come back here. They are faithful to feeding in Canadian waters, and this attests to sort of the productivity of this part of the world. We have all kinds of zooplankton, phytoplankton up here in our summer and early fall, and that drives a whole food web that includes the jellyfish and ultimately the turtles, which are kind of like the top predator, of that food chain. So this is a really key spot for turtles, and it's purely for the purpose of feeding on jellyfish.
In northern waters, leatherback turtles are connoisseurs of what scientists call gelatinous zooplankton. In plain English, jellyfish or jellies. Leatherbacks are particularly fond of lion's mane, which is the largest species. They're also partial to the most common, moon jellies. Remarkably, these creatures have lived in the oceans even longer than the leatherbacks. Tuna, sharks, and ocean sunfish occasionally consume jellyfish, but the diet of the leatherbacks consists entirely of jellies. It's all they eat. Jellyfish are 95% water, so nutritionally, they're not worth much. The leatherback can eat its entire body weight and more in a single day, gorging on hundreds of kilograms of jellies. The sting of a jellyfish can be nasty, but it doesn't seem to bother the leatherbacks. Scientists suspect that tens of millions of years of evolution have made the turtles immune. It's rare to see images of leatherbacks feeding. In Nova Scotia waters, the jellies are deeper in the ocean. Mike and his colleagues designed a turtle cam, a camera that could withstand the leatherback's deep dives. The camera also records the depth and temperature, as well as providing a GPS position in real time. At a depth of about 35 meters, where the warm water meets the cold water, it's fine dining for the leatherbacks.
When we first put those cameras on turtles, we were just completely wowed by the amazing sort of dexterity with which a leatherback with these sort of massive flippers in front of them can kind of turn in the water and orient to a prey and grab it and then go and orient to another one and grab it. The sense of this fluid animal in the fluid environment.
Leatherbacks have a unique digestive system. A beak in their upper jaw easily slices through their prey. Soft spines inside the mouth and down the throat force the jellies on a one-way trip down to the stomach.
Checking it out. She's pecking at my camera. As long as that bird didn't move my tag.
Mike retrieves the camera. Then the crew focuses on collecting the data.
Nice. Perfect. Behavioral data, and she has tags. So we'll figure out where she's from, when people saw her before, how much she's grown in the interim. I guess it's maybe from Trinidad, but we'll see.
Genetic testing has shown that more than half of the turtles Mike has captured have traveled from the nesting beaches of Trinidad and Tobago.
Hold her. No, she's not Trini. She's not from Trinidad. She is University of Florida Gainesville tag, so she's likely from Panama or Costa Rica. Maybe Grenada. And she's pooping all over us.
Leatherbacks are found in most of the world's oceans, but they migrate further than any other reptile on the planet, traveling huge distances between feeding and nesting grounds. To achieve this, leatherbacks are fantastic navigators.
Got a barnacle on her pink spot.
This pink spot is thought to be the key. Some believe it works like an internal GPS system.
$587, $576, $586.
Okay, put her down. Which way do we want to turn her?
She has some leftover scarring from an entanglement injury before. You can see around her
Probably
neck and
rope.
around the areas, probably rope injury.
It's all scarring.
Leatherbacks have evolved as long-distance swimmers.
At some point.
Their flippers are adapted for swimming forwards, but not backwards. So when leatherbacks get entangled in fishing gear, they can't reverse. So they often drown. Globally, this is the main reason why leatherbacks are critically endangered. By trying to figure out their migration patterns, scientists like Mike can play a role in saving them.
Geographically, I mean, you're talking about a huge area of ocean. The key to doing that, we found, has been to use satellite telemetry. We put an instrument on its back and then we let the animal go off, and we can sit at a computer and enjoy the benefit of all this kind of remotely collected information, including the position of the turtle.
Okay, we'll call it the shell measurements.
Next, the crew inspects a male turtle. They're less frequently studied than the females.
This is the first time, probably in this animal's entire history, that it's ever felt anything underneath its plastron, because the males never go ashore. So this is a very unfamiliar feeling for a male turtle. I'll show you in a minute the difference between a male and a female, but the most pronounced thing that you can see there is a lot of the times the males will extrude their hemipenis, or their penis, while they're being handled or on the platform. And that's what you're seeing there beside the tail. The other real apparent difference, which is what everyone uses for turtles in general, any kind of turtle, to sex them, in an adult, the male has a much longer tail than the female.
This turtle has had a painful run-in with another animal, probably a shark.
Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have impacted the eye, whatever happened to him. So the eye is clear, but it's right across his nostrils as well. At this point in the head here, they're so deep that actually part of the skull is showing there. So this is a pretty unusual injury, so we want to document this for sure.
Since the very first turtle was tagged with a satellite transmitter, 80 more have been fixed to leatherbacks in Nova Scotia. The pattern is consistent. After about 5 months of bulking up on jellyfish, the turtles begin their return trek to nesting beaches in the south. Starting in October, hundreds of turtles start swimming off the continental shelf. They're on the move constantly, swimming up to 75 kilometers a day. Juveniles and those not ready to nest head to a mid-Atlantic feeding area where they stay until spring before heading back to Canada. The mature females head south to the warm waters and sandy beaches of the Caribbean. But it won't be for a vacation. It's a blustery day and the surf is up on Matura Beach, Trinidad. Female leatherback turtles swim for weeks on end to get here. They make the 4,000-kilometer trek for one essential reason: to lay their eggs. Most nest at night. Some late arrivals, like this one, dig their nests at daybreak, often on the same beach where they were hatched. The effort required is immense. A fully grown leatherback can weigh as much as a small car. Their bodies are adapted for swimming, not crawling up a steep sandy beach. After finding the perfect place, she uses her rear flippers to dig a hole. She does this carefully so that the sand doesn't roll back in. She digs as deep as her flippers will let her go. From March to August, she might come ashore and repeat this process a half-dozen times. She lays about 80 eggs in a single session, in different places on the beach over the season. In this way, she increases the chances of the egg's survival. She looks like she's shedding tears. She isn't. She's just getting rid of the salt that comes from drinking seawater and living on a diet of jellyfish. The warm sand incubates the eggs for about 2 months. This turtle will never see her young enter the sea. Matura Beach is 18 kilometers long, and some 5,000 leatherbacks nest here every year. Since 1990, the beach has been patrolled by a local conservation group, the Nature Seekers. Suzanne Lacon-Baptiste is one of the founding members of the group. She remembers the time, not so long ago, when leatherbacks were slaughtered for meat. and their eggs harvested.
Sometimes I remember walking the beach and seeing so many turtles with a lot of their flippers missing. I remember seeing some of them with just huge matete chops all over, and they will have all the eggs in their cavity. 30% of the females that came to lay their eggs were killed on land, on the beach, on the nesting ground.
Suzanne decided to do something about it. She and her neighbors in the community started to patrol the beach at night. Suzanne was mocked and called the crazy turtle lady. She was even threatened.
I remember one night right on the hill there, I was standing and this guy kept driving up his vehicle, and I said, "You cannot go down there." And he thought, you know, when he came forward with his vehicle, I said, "Well, you will really have to run me over tonight because I'm not moving."
That kind of determination led to the founding of the Nature Seekers. They began nightly patrols, and the killing of leatherbacks stopped. Since then, the organization has evolved into a center for study and ecotourism.
Our entanglements are about 3,000 per year, and that mortality is about 30%, or about 1,000 turtles per year are dying in coastal gill nets.
Dr. Scott Eckert is the group's science advisor. He's got some disturbing data to share.
What this population says to me is we are probably starting into a fairly significant decline.
Well, it's turning down a little bit. Does anybody get really rattled about a few years declining? No, I would have said, you know, turtle populations bounce around a bit, it's probably okay. You know, until it's declining for 5 or 6 years or 10 years or whatever, I'm not too worried. The reality of it is, it's exactly what happened to us in Mexico. Exactly. We had this giant population that was doing just great, and all of a sudden, in a matter of 10 years, it was gone.
Scott was a young scientist working on Mexico's Pacific coast when the leatherback population there was wiped out. Scott figured out that the coastal gillnet fishery was a big part of the problem. But he proved much more than that. By attaching experimental tracking devices to leatherbacks, Scott was able to reveal for the very first time that leatherbacks migrate to feeding grounds thousands of kilometers away. It was a lesson that he's now applying here in the Caribbean.
Now we know that you need to look at where turtles go throughout their lives, and so that you can identify those threats and mitigate for those threats. This is one of the reasons why our linkage between Trinidad and Canada is so vitally important. Canada is the primary place where our turtles go to feed.
This pioneering work connected Scott to Mike James, who is visiting Trinidad from Nova Scotia. Mike has a plan. He wants to find a nesting turtle from Nova Scotia, attach a satellite transmitter to her, and follow her journey back north.
I was trained on how to tag turtles, measure turtles at this very beach, Matura Beach. So this beach and the people that work here and the community in general are, you know, a major part of sort of my experience with leatherbacks and how I got started on this work. Both of us are pretty excited about potentially getting a tag on one of these animals.
At their headquarters, the Nature Seekers are gearing up for a night on the beach. Inside, a group of ecotourists has volunteered to help Mike and Scott in their search for a Canadian-tagged leatherback.
So tonight what we're hoping to do is to get out here and actually put some satellite tags on turtles that have been noted as being in Canada. They have either tags from Canada or they were tagged here, and Mike has caught them up there so we know who they are, and see if we can actually track them on back into Canadian waters and see what they do from that point.
That's the pitch. Find the canned turtle.
Everybody understands the mission and is keen to help. They head to the beach with the Nature Seekers, who have shown this group how to tag and measure the nesting females. It's not just the researchers who head to the beach tonight. Lots of locals and visitors come as well to witness the spectacle of the giant leatherbacks.
And tonight, on behalf of Nature Seekers, we welcome you to Matura Turtle Nesting Site. You all are getting a little icing on the cake in that we already have baby turtles to show you.
Swimming on dry land? Nice sandy.
Several Nova Scotian leatherbacks have already been identified this season. Since they nest about every 10 days, as many as 3 may land tonight.
We have 3 turtles that we are expected coming in from Canada. We are going way down zone 16, 17 to ensure that the beach is covered.
Visitors and workers use only red light at night because the leatherbacks aren't bothered by it. Once the turtle begins to lay her eggs, she enters into a kind of trance. At this point, flash photography and low levels of white light are okay. Oblivious to the people around her, she continues to lay.
If you look at the shell, okay, remove the sand from the shell, you can see the softness, the flexibility of the shell.
About 15,000 people, mostly from Trinidad, visit the beach every nesting season. This ecotourism model has gained international attention because it balances the needs of tourists, the local economy, and the conservation of the leatherbacks. Further down the beach, the search for the Canadian tagged turtle continues.
No tags.
It's a long shot, a beach 18 kilometers long at night with hundreds of turtles coming ashore. What are the odds?
Not one of ours. It's also nesting right at the, surf zone here. So whatever she lays, if she lays, won't be successful.
They keep looking. This one is tagged with a T for Trinidad.
T63325. All right, on to the next one.
It's a long and busy night. Leatherbacks haul themselves across the sand. None of them has what Mike is looking for.
T65. No, we don't even have any that begin with that sequence.
Hey, Mike, you want to take a look at this?
And then, incredibly, a breakthrough.
Are both of them there?
CAN 443.
I honestly can't believe it.
I can't believe it. Our first patrol down.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
It's one of ours. It's fantastic. It's a little bit surreal to come onto a turtle this soon. This is our first night in Trinidad, and to come across an animal that soon that's from our foraging population is super exciting.
I'm really curious how this measurement's going to come out. Hey, Mike, you got about 5 minutes probably before she starts egg laying.
The leatherback goes into her trance and begins to lay her eggs. This is the best time to attach the satellite transmitter. The tag is fixed directly to the middle ridge on the shell. Mike is super careful with the whole procedure. Back at sea, every time this female surfaces, the transmitter will send data to a satellite. Where she is, the water temperature, how deep she's been swimming. Mike hopes the battery life will give him up to a year's worth of useful information.
Swim happily back to Canada, my love. It's wonderful to have them on a beach. You have this opportunity, which we don't have, which is to observe them after the transmitter's placed on them as she's finishing covering her nest. It's kind of the longest I've ever had to kind of experience a leatherback with one of the transmitters we use.
She's given a name, Peggy, after Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia. She heads back into the darkness. The first Canadian tagged turtle to leave Trinidad with a satellite transmitter on her back. It's been 12 hours since Peggy, the leatherback turtle with the satellite tag, swam back into the sea. Back at Nature Seekers, breakfast is on and the team gets together after a long night on the beach.
What you're getting right now, that's pretty good data points.
The satellite tag is working, and they can see where Peggy is swimming. she hasn't gone far.
What I'm seeing here is this turtle's coming back. If she was done, she would have already been 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers offshore and swimming north as fast as she could go. This area right off Galera Point is our hotspot. That's where most of our turtles spend time. But it is a little nerve-wracking because now that I've been studying how much gillnet fishing is going on out there, she's swimming, around gillnets to get there.
This is where Peggy is, Galera Point. It's a busy spot, right between two major turtle nesting beaches. The waters offshore are a prime location for leatherback mating. But that's not all. The fast currents here make the area an excellent habitat for fish and for gillnet fishing. The gillnets can be kilometers long. All this makes Galera Point a dangerous place for leatherbacks.
She is right in the kill zone. She is in the zone where these boats are operating, and she's been staying in it. Remember when she left the beach, she traveled right through a heavy, heavy fishing area and is right now out in that same sort of a zone. So we've got to kind of cross our fingers that she's going to be able to clear all those nets.
It's estimated that 3,000 leatherbacks swim into the nets here every year. 1,000 of them will drown. There's a concern that Peggy could become one of them.
How big is the mash?
Mike talks to the local fishermen. He wants them to keep an eye out for Peggy and her distinctive transmitter.
And the turtle I tagged in Canada is now off Galera Point.
Okay.
And it's likely going to come back
Yeah.
to Matura
Okay.
and nest again.
Right?
Mike wants the fishermen to make sure Peggy is safely released.
That's what I do.
But cutting a gill net can cost a fisherman thousands of dollars. That's a lot of money down here. Not surprisingly, Mike gets an earful.
Everybody here depends on it to live.
Right.
It's the same story all over the island. There are even tales about fishermen actually killing turtles to save their nets. But not this fisherman. Dom Miguel Pavi tries to see both sides.
How are you doing? Because I wanted to find a turtle that I had captured in Canada.
Yeah.
So she spent the past several days right off Galera, like that's where she is right now.
This is my main fishing area.
Okay.
Galera Point, and coming down.
Right where that turtle is.
Right where that turtle is. It's safe with me because I release all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every single turtle that has ever been caught in my net has
Off it
been
goes.
freed.
Right.
Yeah, every single one.
That's good.
The average night, I might hold about 8. Each boat would hold pretty close that figure as well. And there are about 9 boats, so 9 8, so what, 72? That's approximately 72 turtle would pass in the net in one night.
And he's only talking about his village. There are at least 5 other fishing communities close by. It all adds up to a lot of leatherbacks caught in fishing nets. When he's on the water, Pavi is always on the lookout for turtles. On this trip, it doesn't take long before he has one in his gill net. It could easily have been Peggy, but this one isn't wearing a satellite transmitter.
Problem with them is, they're big and strong. So you trying to take them out there without harming them is a great fight.
They don't want to do it, it's accidental, it's terrible for the fishermen, it's terrible for the nets, and it's obviously terrible for the turtles. The next step, of course, is to look at maybe finding ways of keeping fishermen from fishing in these specific spots or giving them the tools that they need to fish there safely and profitably without killing turtles.
The only way to solve this is other alternative fishing methods. We gotta get some new methods.
One idea is to change the kind of nets being used. Another is to restrict fishing during turtle nesting season. A more radical plan is to give up gillnet fishing altogether and switch to hook and line. But for now, the gill netting continues, and the leatherbacks, including Peggy, run the gauntlet. Gill netting is just one of many hazards faced by nesting leatherbacks. There's nature itself. Wave action and flooding can shift tons of sand in a single night. Entire nests are destroyed. In a single breeding season, countless eggs never even get the chance to hatch. Black vultures are circling overhead at Matura Beach. That's usually a sign something is about to happen. Newly hatched leatherbacks have dug their way out of the nest. They work together as a team, and groups of them percolate up out of the beach sand and begin their dash to the sea. Predators are everywhere. Even the local dogs have developed a taste for baby turtles. The hatchlings are easy pickings. It's estimated that only 1 in 1,000 eggs survives to become an adult turtle.
No fresh sign as yet.
The baby turtles need all the help they can get. Senior nature seeker Francis Superville keeps a watchful eye out for stragglers.
Now this one here is a one that is weak. If you notice, it's about 2 of them that get trapped in the nest, so they're now trying to make their way up. They're dehydrated, so they will stay for a while there, just taking in oxygen and cooling down their body temperature until they're strong enough, and they're gonna start crawling out to the ocean.
Making it to the water's edge is an achievement. But the dangers aren't over yet. Out in the sea, other predators are waiting. The few turtles that survive head to the open ocean where they will spend 10 to 15 years. When they're young adults, about a meter long, they'll begin their annual migration, traveling upwards of 12,000 kilometers a year for the rest of their lives. As the nesting season in Trinidad comes to an end and the females head back north, one of them is of particular interest to the researchers. Her name is Peggy, and somewhere she's out there. The waters off Nova Scotia are a rich feeding ground for migrating leatherback turtles. They come up from the Caribbean and as far away as South America to eat their fill of jellyfish, which are plentiful here. But one particular leatherback from Trinidad hasn't shown up. Peggy and her satellite transmitter has gone missing.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, Pavi here.
Hi, Pavi. It's Mike James calling you. We haven't received any more data, so either the tag is damaged and the antenna is broken or has been, somehow compromised, or the turtle, something might have happened to the turtle. Right. I'm just disappointed that We don't have that track because, of course, that was a big accomplishment for all of us down there to tag an animal that we had already handled in Canadian waters.
Mike and his team of fishermen and researchers will keep looking for Peggy, even though she hasn't been seen or heard from since the fishing grounds in Trinidad. In the meantime, they continue to look for turtles to tag. Field trips like this one are organized by Kathleen Martin. She runs a nonprofit group called the Canadian Sea Turtle Network. Their mission is to unite scientists, fishermen, and the public at large in the effort to protect leatherbacks.
We've really been lucky in terms of how the fishing community has been welcoming to us and how supportive they've been to us over the years, how generous with their time and with their knowledge, and that changed the world for the better, right? That's making a difference, that's helping conserve a species.
The crew locates a leatherback and gets ready to tag it. But there's a bonus. This turtle has already been tagged in Trinidad.
Trini?
Trini turtle! Trini!
Yeah!
Now, there's a chance that the research that was lost with Peggy can be resumed.
4A606F6427. So she's chipped and both flipper tags in.
In honor of Peggy, they call her Margaret, after St. Margaret's Bay, Nova Scotia. Now, a VIT, a very important turtle, Margaret will be tracked online by experts and leatherback fans alike.
It's a great way of engaging Canadians and people from all over the world. It's one of the species that really connects us to the rest of the world and reminds us that what we do in Canada has an international impact. The environmental decisions that we make here have a huge impact elsewhere. And we have such an opportunity as the country that we are to be leaders in how we care for these animals. And I think leatherbacks are a great lesson in that.
I think there are a lot of people doing an awful lot of work now where we do have a pretty good understanding of this population, and this will be the key to making sure that we responsibly steward this population and keep it in a, relatively stable state.
From Cape Breton, Margaret may travel up into the Gulf of St. Lawrence. And later in the year, she'll make the 4,000-kilometer swim back to Trinidad. And the cycle will start all over again. Since the time of the dinosaurs, forever on the move, trekking endlessly across the great oceans.